Hi, everybody. Good morning. Don't check your calendar. Don't check the date. It is a Sunday morning. Filling in for Alexis this morning. She's traveling and happy to do so. We've been tracking a little bit of light snow moving across the state. It really hasn't amounted to much, and that's just fine. I suppose anytime the roads are a little wet, they could be a little slick, but it is not something that we're very concerned about at all. So happy Sunday morning as we cruise toward 11 a.m. Full disclosure, I have Telemundo in front of me watching Manchester United and Crystal Palace. I'm a huge soccer fan, so I can multitask. See, I can multitask a little bit. Hope I didn't break any copyright rules by showing that for 1 second. It's 2-1 Manchester United, in case you were just wondering. Yes, top of the morning. We have some interesting stuff ahead. Not that it's going to be that horrible. We don't have any blizzards in the pipeline, but we have some ups and downs, and that is perfectly typical for this time of year. March is supposed to be challenging, is the best way of terming it. All right. Spring and, the warm weather season doesn't just arrive linearly. Statistically it does, but it never happens in real life. There's always ups and downs and challenges and fits and bursts, giveth and taketh away. And, yesterday and today are perfect examples of that. I hope you got outside yesterday. It was fabulous with the nice sunshine, the mild temperatures at Windsor Locks. We hit 50 for the first time since December 19th. That's actually in my stack here of graphics to talk about. And now today it's cloudy and much cooler, and there's been some snow. This week, spring tries to arrive, but it's fighting up against cooler, high pressure across Canada. And that's a battle zone you don't want to be under. And we are going to be under it for most of this week. So I don't love what I see. Before we get to the rundown for today, let's put it right out there. For those, as we start to plan, maybe you're having a nice cup of coffee. I know I am. It's actually a vanilla latte. We have this machine downstairs. I've talked about it before. It is spectacular coffee, a vanilla latte. Let's see. Perfect temperature. Just enough caffeine, keep me going through at least the early afternoon. And it's just delicious. Wow. So I digress. We will be watching. We're all really busy, and I get it. So you're on a Sunday morning, you're having coffee, you're looking at your week ahead, and there's going to be one hurdle that I think will be meteorologically steep. And that would be Tuesday afternoon. I think there's a pretty decent chance of some snow building in here. Now, it's not the amount. I just think it could thump, as we call it, a burst of snow. I can't tell you if it's going to be 1 or 3 or 4. But it just looks, the setup looks interesting. And I'm going to show you this using our Future Radar products. When the model data in March says warm up, it never happens that quickly here. Okay, we have obviously snowpack, we have Canada, we have the North Atlantic. There's times where we burst out into warmth, and we just might do that. But when it's these systems that bring precipitation, usually along a warm front, we've seen this zillions of times. And that is, you get a thump of snow, I think Tuesday afternoon. And then we get into some prolonged sleet and some freezing rain. Well, the model data says flip to rain, and we wait for that to happen. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. Then through the interior of the state, it's not that easy. Along the shoreline, you'll flip to rain with probably very little fanfare, and you'll be miserable. We're going to start talking about water issues, not the quality of the water, but the amount of it. And meaning that we're going to be melting our snowpack. It's been gradual so far, but we get two of these systems in this week that bring us precipitation that can be mainly in the form of rain. Again, Tuesday afternoon could start as snow. We're going to get what we call snow-eating fog. You get a moisture-laden, mild air mass to build in here, and it gets into most of the state, and it turns foggy, probably Tuesday night. And the warm front gets hung up maybe I'll try to draw it, try to show you what I'm talking about. But the front gets hung up, and we get this widespread 0 to quarter mile visibility. And the fog just eats the snow. The temperature's up in the 40s, the dew point is up in the 40s, and the snow just starts to just rapidly melt. And we don't want that. Yesterday, we had sunny, dry conditions. It was very mild, and we had some melting, of course, especially on the sunny sides of the street, the sunny part of your yard. But it was a drier 50, so it didn't melt as fast as it can when it's a murky, mild, foggy 50. And that's what we're heading toward. Okay. With that in mind, the rundown. Any snow ending midday, it's really a nothing burger. I like to be hip. I don't know why that feels hip to say. But it's hip to be square as well, as Huey taught us in the 80s. Sunshine this afternoon. I believe the sun will build in, and it's going to be counteracting a cold air mass building in. So the temperature just kind of stays the same all afternoon, 35, 36, 37, no big deal. It's quite brisk tomorrow. Temperature's only in the 20s. Average high is 42 heading to 43. We're going to be chilly tomorrow. So be prepared for that. It's not going to be that nice. Well, it's going to be bright and sunny, but it's going to be cold. And I'll get to that in a minute in depth. Wintry mix rain Tuesday afternoon. The wintry mix includes snow and sleet. Then we're going to redo it all over again later Thursday into Friday. I just don't think we have time to get cold enough for wintry weather then. But I'm watching it. It's an unsettled week. In a word, it's crummy. It's just crummy this week. I don't like crummy, but guess what? We're getting crummy. Live pictures from Hartford. Our camera iris is a little too wide open, but cloudy skies as we look from our Duncan Park camera up in toward the north end of Hartford. And it's cloudy. Maybe a few leftover flurries there in Waterbury along the Mixmaster. That, of course, is 84 east and west by the mall there, the Crystal Mall. And Brass City Mall. Crystal is down in Waterford. Robert, wake up and smell the toast. It's the Brass City. Yeah. So there's that. Just clouds, little flurries, little snow. And Rose tells me it's snowing in New London. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate that. It's not a lot, though. Just making things a little wet, a little dreary, but it will. I do believe it will brighten up. So let's talk yesterday. Man, oh man, was it beautiful. Yesterday's high temperature was 50 at Windsor Locks. First time since December 19th. So we have to go before Christmas. I can't tell you how rare that is. And I'd have to look at a bunch of data to try to figure out how rare. But what happens is if you've been here for more than a day, the weather usually in the winter in Connecticut, we have really cold and snowy. Sometimes we have really cold and not snowy. Sometimes it's seasonable and really snowy or not snowy. And then there's other times where we get a storm that goes up through the Great Lakes. In fact, let me just do this and then I'll go back. Okay. When we get a low pressure system that's out here, and this happens a lot during the winter. That's not happening right now. But during the winter, a lot of times we'll get a lakes cutter because of the jet stream. We'll get into this warm southerly wind, and our temperatures invariably go up into the 50s. And everything melts, and snow lovers get really frustrated. Well, that did not happen this year as far as anything really notable as far as lakes cutters. So we didn't get to 50 like we usually do. And we've all noticed it for sure. We had a little spell of 40s in January, but other than that, it's been cold. So yesterday it just felt absolutely amazing. I don't know. I was walking outside. My wife and I ran some errands, and I stopped on the little walkway we have, and I just stopped and looked at the sun. Well, I didn't look at it. I closed my eyes, of course. I'm not dumb. And I closed my eyes, and I just felt the warmth of the sun, not only the sun, but the sun bouncing off the snowpack, which is still, I'd estimate in my yard between 8 and 16 inches. It just matters what area gets the most sun. And I could feel it just radiating. And I made her stop. And she usually looks at me like, and gives me a look like, what's wrong with you? And I said, just feel it. And she stopped and actually stopped to feel the sun. That's very rare for my wife. Sometimes she thinks I'm a little silly or weird when I do things like that. And it was quite delightful. Earlier in the week, I said I was going to snow blow a square of my yard and put the fire pit in the middle. I never got to it. Life's just too busy. But I wish I did, because yesterday would have been a great day to sit out there with a little fire crackling. But errands need to be run. So that's what we were doing. That's what we were doing. So there's your latest live radar. And it shows that it is, as Rose mentioned, snowing. Now, it looks like a solid shield of snow, but I watched this stuff go by and it was snowing 1 minute and a little grapple. What's grapple? Well, look it up. It's really interesting. Grapple are those little snowballs. It's not sleet. Okay, totally different weather phenomenon. Think about this. You're a snowflake and you're falling from the sky with all your friends, millions of little snowflakes, and you encounter this lower level of the atmospheres a little too mild. Or there's a layer up there, so it might go cold to mild to cool to chilly on its way down. So those little snowflakes start to melt, and they don't melt completely. They're still sort of crystals, and they start sticking to each other. And they start squashing each other, and all of a sudden you got this little ball of snow that's falling from the sky. We learned about friction growing up, and when those little balls of snow are falling from the sky, they deal with the friction of air. And that friction creates a little ball of snow, and someone named it grapple. I don't know why, but that's what some of you are experiencing probably right now. Little snow, a little grapple, really not much to worry about. Don't change any plans for today. We'll do just fine. And as we look at the radar, there's nothing back to the west because we got a big area of high pressure. It's building down out of Canada. Okay, so let's remember that this system is part of a frontal boundary that's going by that will eventually get strung out. Kind of like I was during final exams. Well, when I was young, I was strung out. Well, this boundary is going to get strung out, and that's going to be the focusing mechanism for talking about trouble. Yeah, we're talking about trouble. Again, not that it's going to be terrible. It's just going to be gross. I love this satellite picture. Wow, is that vibrant. So what do we have going on right now? We have a cold front, and it's going through. The cold front is going through, and behind it, the sun comes out across the Finger Lakes of New York, Lake Ontario, Pennsylvania. Oh, skiing in Vermont would be so nice right now. Probably a little crusty, but that's that. Let's take a look at something that's you don't see every day because I don't show it to you every day, but we're going to go over to Lake Erie and find that you can see the ice on Lake Erie. How cool is that? Lake Erie is still about what, 85, 90% covered in ice. Well, Lake Ontario is next to 0%. It's a shallower lake. It's a colder lake. And that is all ice right there. That's, you know what? When we have time like we have right now, all we have is time. That is an ice bank on Lake Erie right there. Because that's the South Shore right there, that yellow line. I don't know. You can call me crazy, and some of you do, but I think that is wicked cool. Space. Okay, so future radar. Here's some snow flying on by, and the sun comes out. The sun is going to battle the colder air mass for supremacy, and they're just going to kind of have a stalemate today. The sun might not feel bad. The breeze will just be kicking around a little bit. It's not a windy day. And tomorrow tonight will be clear. And tomorrow will be a mostly sunny day. The sun will feel okay, but the temperatures will always be colder than they should be. And then here comes this first bout of some issues. Increasing clouds Tuesday morning, chilly. Uh-oh, what's that? Okay, this might be a little fast for my liking, looking at the data, but it's only Sunday morning. We'll fine tune. Anthony will have an update coming up later today. But that's a little burst of snow at a time you don't want it. When the buses are rolling and the windshield wipers on the bus go up and down and the wheels go round and round. We want to be careful, of course, with this little burst of some snow and maybe some sleet or some freezing rain. This is ahead of a warm front. And hear me now, remember me later. Warm fronts get strung out, let's see, sort of like this. It's a thing called cold air damming. And the cold air in the Connecticut and Farmington River valleys, especially in the area to the east of the Litchfield Hills, the cold air gets locked in and it's really stubborn, hard to move, denser than the mild air trying to punch in from the west. Computer models do okay with it. They don't do great. So fog, showers, drizzle, maybe freezing on contact in northern Connecticut. And then another ripple of low pressure comes in by Wednesday morning. So there's Tuesday night a pause and Wednesday morning. That's gross. We don't need rain. We don't want rain. Don't come on the chat and say we're in a drought, okay? Because there's a lot of water locked up in that snowpack out there. And even if it's been sort of dry, it won't be, okay? Mud season could be extra special. Dog owners like me, we love mud season, don't we? No, we don't. So there's cold high pressure, and there's that area of low pressure that brings that mix for Tuesday. And I think, again, Tuesday afternoon could be impacted as far as schools, playoff games, and commuting. So just mark it down. Tuesday afternoon, state playoff basketball game. I don't know. I didn't look at the schedule. Hockey, wrestling. I don't know. I think wrestling already had theirs. I'm not sure. I can't keep track of it all. But it could be a little dicey. Okay. And then there's this boundary I talked about. And another area of low pressure wants to come at us for Thursday into Friday. And that could bring more rain. Oh, Bob, you said we don't want rain. You're right. We don't want rain, but we're going to get rain. This is the European model, just to give you an idea. There's the mix and rain. And then there's a break on Wednesday afternoon. And then Thursday, there's a system nearby that kind of bubbles up and brings rain again here. Thursday night into Friday. Ooh, boy. Let's not do this. Okay, let's talk about the good stuff. I see zillions of questions. Okay, a dozen. I'll get there. I see that's a good question, David. I like that. I meant to talk about that today and I forgot. Kind of interesting things. Some interesting things in our sky tonight and tomorrow morning. Pretty sure it's tomorrow morning. Okay, so 8 to 14 day outlook. We've been talking about this for a while now. And the signal won't go away. So the jet stream would be something like this and then some sort of ridge in the east. And ridging is your friend. Okay, so after all the unsettled weather, as we go into the weekend, next weekend, we spring forward. So we get those longer afternoons, but darker mornings. To me, it's a little early to be doing this, but it's not my decision. It's not my call. But instead of a 6:15 like sunrise, it's 7:15. And I think that stinks. But the sun sets later, and that makes a lot of people happy. I don't know. Never figured out when the whens and whys. Okay, so there's your jet stream. And again, this is not a forecast, but the signal won't go away. Now, it's not as warm as I showed you earlier this week with some of our model data, but follow along with me. The ups and downs, and this is so typical of spring. It just shows it in a graphical way. Chilly today, colder tomorrow. Not as cold Tuesday, but could be pretty unsettled. Milder and murky on Wednesday. Milder and murkier on Thursday. Cool and dreary on Friday. Then over the weekend and early next week, what is this? Oh boy. That's melting snow is what that is. But look what Mother Nature likes to do. And this is the GFS. Oh, wait. Yeah, I think this is the GFS. It actually tempers the warmth a little bit early next week. But then look what happens. Spring giveth, Mother Nature taketh. Spring giveth, Mother Nature taketh. And all of a sudden, we're back to another cold shot right around the Ides of March. And I always say, beware the Ides of March. Julius Caesar, watch your back. Because funky things can happen. And if it were that cold, what if there was some storminess around? I'm not saying there is, but it's weather and anything is possible. And that's a look at your 10-day forecast. Yeah, kind of a crummy week. Not highly impactful, but worrisome with water, melting snow, street flooding. Ice jams may start to form, already happening out in parts of the Midwest. I think I saw some in Pennsylvania. Not good. Ice jams are bad. Folks over at the Kent School know all about it. Right there, the Housatonic always gets jammed in a narrow part of the river and water just goes right toward the school. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, but the potential is increasing that we do get into some sort of river flooding and poor drainage areas as we go through late this week into the weekend and next week, because that's sustained mild temperatures and even above freezing overnight. Bad. No bueno, as I said last week. No bueno. And there's your shoreline 10-day forecast. Okay. So take a look at it. Take a screenshot if you want. That's what we're looking at for the next 10. You can always find data like that on our app, our website, and on here. So there's that. So let's put the radar back up. That'll answer some questions. I'm not going to spend too much longer, but I always like to answer questions because you guys are inquisitive. Many of you are just learning about meteorology, and that warms my heart. Manchester United wins 2-1 on a penalty kick from Bruno Fernandes and a beautiful header from Sesko. Sorry, I digress. I can turn off. Hope you didn't think I was rude for watching a little sports. Okay, so let's take a look. We got a lot of questions, so let's go through these. Let me get the laptop so it's facing me. Again, I appreciate all of you being here. Love the fact that you're interested in weather. When many of you wake up tomorrow morning and the feels like temperature is 0, I meant to show that to you. I thought I had that in my stack. The feels like temperature tomorrow morning, it's going to be between 0 and 10 above when the kids get out to the bus stop. So we're going to bundle them up. We're going to dress them like, not Ralphie. Ralphie dresses like a normal grammar school kid. It's Randy. Randy's the one that dresses like mom, makes him look silly. You know? Okay, so enough of that. Good morning, Bob, says David. I say good morning right back to you. If you're watching on Facebook, you can see the questions. I understand if you're on YouTube and you're sitting there with a cup of coffee, watching me on an 80-inch screen, that's scary. That is terrifying right there. And you won't be able to see the questions, but I try to read them as best I can. Gregory says, hi, Bob. These are a lot of the regulars. Thank you, John. Weekend Bob is always a great surprise. It was my pleasure. I'm glad you didn't have to plow. It's kind of sort of an underachiever. Data never, well, I'm not going to say that. No, the data was all over the place. Even yesterday and going back on a Friday night, there were some signals of like a 2 to 4 inch snow. We kept it close to the vest. I'm glad we didn't make any changes. And I probably could have we had coating to 2 and we ended up with less than a coating, right? Barely a dusting. So I'm glad you didn't have to, but boy, the model data was all over the place with just a simple cold front. And it was kind of interesting, kind of insecure feeling. Good morning. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Zandra. What a cool name, Zandra. Checking in this morning. Love that. It was, I think Robert's saying it was fabulous Saturday. Yes, it was. It was a beautiful day. Suede, there's a new viewer. Love that. Good morning to you, Suede. I hope I mean, is that the only way to pronounce that? Or is it something like Sud or Sudi? Sudi. It could be Sudi Vieira. I don't know, but it's a pretty name. Hi, Rose. Good morning. We're all looking forward to the warmer temperatures, but as I've said many times, we can't have it be too warm too fast, but I think that's where we're heading. Which can certainly be a problem. Hi, Gloria. Good morning, Bob. Nice to see you this Sunday morning. My absolute pleasure. We're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue on Facebook's end. It is possible the stream has ended. Oh, no. What do I do? Oh. I'll be back in a moment, everybody. Oh, that's too bad. I have to add it back. What's happening? Can we get Mark Zuckerberg on line too? There seems to be an issue with Facebook. My stream. I'm gonna have to remove that and bring it back. And maybe this will work. I hope I didn't lose everybody. Well, yeah, I did lose everybody. Thanks, Meta. I'm back if you want to join in. Let's see if that number goes back up, or I'll say goodbye, bye. That's a bummer. Well, I'm still going to go through the questions because I don't know who's out there and who's not. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I had a little bit of fun on my personal Facebook page. Fun in air quotes, of course. And I didn't do it for after I did it, I kind of regretted it. But once it's out there, do it for attention. I just think it's interesting to be transparent and say it's a sad state of affairs when people are at home on a Sunday morning, they see something on their scroll, and instead of just being like, oh, it's snowing, or oh, that guy is in on a Sunday, which is rare, or oh, there's snow coming and snow going, or something about meteorology. Instead, this woman was just like, no, I cheer for bad weather. And she said that I should retire like Snow Monster did. And I'm like, that's rude. And that's exactly what I typed back to her. See, if we're going to live in this space, it's a two-way street. You just can't come on and just troll. You're going to get some pushback or block or both. But aren't we just tired of being mean and rude to each other? Isn't it just easier to be kind? Like Joe here, who has the gumption to come on and type something pleasant. And I'm glad you did, Joe. And I probably shouldn't have even mentioned anything, but it's Sunday. Maybe I'm a little punchy. Stayed up a little past my bedtime watching. I'm a big college hockey fan. There were a lot of great games. UConn getting that tie with UMass. Ice Bus, I don't know. They're going to have to make some noise in the Hockey East tournament to make the NCAA tournament. They're a bubble team, and they could have used a W against UMass instead of that one loss, one tie, and a shootout loss. But I'm always rooting for UConn. Mike Kavanaugh is a great guy and a great coach, and he's really lifted that program. I'm personally a big fan of the Cornell Big Red, if you need to know, and they did sweep the weekend over St. Lawrence and Clarkson. So they get a bye. Bob is the most honest, no hip. I try to be a little hip, Mike. I'm kidding. Hype without the E. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate the kind words. You know I'm joking around. Good morning, Rob. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. Fake spring. Mother Nature is yes, Olga, Mother Nature. Spring is when Mother Nature has the most twisted sense of humor. And, we have some new team members. Anthony's from Connecticut, but Alexis is from the Midwest, and Steve's from Connecticut, so he's lived it. But, everyone, I think in other parts of the country, spring is more linear. It just warms up. I guess even in Dallas today, high is 82, so that's pretty rapid warm up. But here we know that there's fits and bursts, and there's winners and losers when it comes to spring weather. And we'll have a couple days where it's gorgeous, and then in April it'll snow again, and the daffodils will be crushed. We always get daffodil crushing snow of some sort. It happens almost every year, but it melts like that, and we're back to golfing and playing pickle and paddle and whatever. I'm sick of this. I get it. A lot of people are this year. It's been a trying winter, no doubt. Bob and Ryan do the best forecast. Thanks, Hank. I appreciate that out there. And if you don't like his forecasting, go to another channel. Well, even if you don't like us, you can stay. We need we always appreciate the ratings. Hey, thank you, Julie. I appreciate that very much. Last day of snow. Jill, never say that. Everybody, I like Jill. She's got a Mike flag. News 12. She's probably from Fairfield County. Jill, I'm hoping, well, am I hoping you didn't just jinx us? Last day of snow on the first day of meteorological spring. I don't say last day of snow until May 1. Now it has snowed in May before, but let's not push it. So we have some light snow and grapple. Great effort, RJ. Great effort trying to spell it. It's GRAPUEL, something like that. But yes, that is grapple, and we're all learning together. Giovanni, good morning. Good morning to you. Nicotera. Huh. There's a family with that last name in Central New York. They're big into auto racing. They're car owners, and they're very good at what they do. I wonder if Giovanni knows them. Steve says, do you think we'll see any more plowable snow this winter? Steve, that's a tough question because I'd be guilty of jinxing us if I said no. So I'm going to give you the standard answer. I wouldn't take my plow off until April 1st. You might need it. So, no, I don't think we're done, but I don't think it'll be anything major. But the reason I say that, no, I'm not going to, anything can happen in mid-March. I showed you that cool down on the GFS model, and that cool down, that could lead to something crazy. It does. It can happen. Hey, Luann, good morning to you. Do you think the clouds will clear out tonight? David, that's a question I previously mentioned. There's a SpaceX launch tonight, and I do believe it'll be crystal clear. It will be chilly with a breeze, but get your cameras ready. If you've never seen this, and David, maybe you could share with us the timing. I don't want to look it up. It's rude of me to be surfing the web. But the liftoff is from Cape Canaveral. And it goes up the eastern seaboard. We had this just a handful of days ago. It's crazy how many rocket launches are actually taking place. Now, I'm not talking about the Middle East. That's a whole nother scary story. These are rockets from SpaceX and putting satellites up, and also, International Space Station, and, satellites and exploration of our space. And it goes right off the eastern seaboard, and it's up high enough that we can see it in the sky, and it looks like some sort of weird plasma thing, right? It's weird. It's bright. It's unmistakable. You look toward the southern sky. And again, David, if you're still on, if you could share the timing of that, that'd be nice. Let's see if he did. 7:07 p.m. Ooh. Thank you, Carol. Gwen, I'll get to your question in a second. I appreciate you swinging by. 7:07 southern skies will be clear. You'll be able to see SpaceX. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it is a little freaky. All right. It's a little freaky and spooky. I was up in Lake Placid this summer watching the meteor shower, not the Perseids, the Geminids. My sister has a beautiful townhouse. Up on the roof of the townhouse is this unbelievable viewing deck. We're all up there. We got the chairs reclined. And we're just watching the shooting stars. And out of nowhere comes this rocket launch booster vapor gas thing that was from New Guinea and went across the skies of the Adirondacks in most of the United States. We lost our noodles. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm an adult, so I'm allowed to have a few adult beverages. I saw this and I was like, what is happening? Same thing happens quicker because it's moving much faster than this one was. But a lot of people saw that back in August. Well, tonight you can see something fly across the southern sky that will give you pause. That there's just a lot of wild stuff going on in our atmosphere and our space. So yes, David, I think they will clear out. Lunar eclipse, am I right? Is that tonight? The full worm moon? This I will, because I forgot to mention this morning. Eclipse, LPISE. March 3rd. Today's March 1st. Okay. So Tuesday morning at sunrise or moonset, there is a total lunar eclipse and we get a blood red moon. Okay. Not a blood red sky, a blood red moon. That's Wednesday morning, and we won't see it because the weather will be absolutely crummy. Thank you, Mother Nature. Okay, let's see. I got to go backwards here. Where was I? David said, okay, so there's someone saying, Kate says, hi, Bob. Kate, nice to see you. I'm glad to see numbers are increasing again with viewers. We lost our feed momentarily, and some of you came back. Gregory's Lawn Care. You're ready to switch from plowing to mowing. I get it. Hey, Joanne, thank you. Yes, Ryan and Rachel are excellent meteorologists, and that's what Joanne was telling everybody. But I'm your go-to guy. Joanne, I appreciate that very much. That's probably why you liked my Facebook page, and that's why you find us in this space, and I love it. Imagine if that was all snow coming. Yeah, Gregory, we would get another, big dump of snow. We'll get some Tuesday afternoon, but it wouldn't last until April because we're just battling the higher sun angle. There'll be big snowbanks into May in some places. It was really cool to see the parade of planets last night before the clouds moved in. Todd, how many did you see? If you're still on the feed, it was 17 minutes after you posted this. I know there's 3 or 4 that we can see with our naked eye or a binocular, but there's many that you can't see without a telescope. There's several planets in the sky after sunset. And sometimes I think those advisories and like everything else in our society gets a little bit overblown. But Todd saw it. Todd liked it. So that's cool, Todd. I love it. Hey, Rebecca. Oh, you know what? It happens. And again, I'm almost regretting even bringing it up on Facebook, but it is what it is. Again, can't we just be kind? That's what we should ask each other every day, and especially when we have a keyboard or a device in our hands. Can't we just be kind? Can't we just try to get along? Hello, Steve. Steve, that's a really cool last name. I feel like there's a golfer on the first page of the leaderboard with a similar last name who I'd never heard of. Echeverria. That's a cool name. I think that's one of the golfers on the leaderboard. Nicole, you bring up a great point here. She says, my basement is not looking forward to all this rain and melt, and my floors are not looking forward to the muddy dog paws. I am with you on the floor situation. My old house, we don't get much water inside when it melts and stuff. So I'm not overly worried about that, but I understand, I understand. Some people are having ice dam issues. Others are going to have flooding issues in the basement. It's not good, but it's almost unavoidable when you have an old-fashioned winter like we've had. Grace, you're welcome. Grace says, good morning, Bob, and thank you for all you do. I appreciate that. Really, a half an inch, Greg? A half an inch of snow in Hamden. There you go. We got our coating. We got a coating. I didn't know if we'd get a coating because it didn't happen in places I kind of thought it might, like Litchfield or Torrington. And there can be a couple more flurries with the actual cold front, which is coming down into the Northwest Hills. You see that on the radar. So Greg got a half an inch. That makes me happy. There are only 28 days in February because we can't take any more February, Todd. I'm with you. That was the big joke, and I don't understand. A lot of meteorologists on Facebook, and of course, because I am one, I get a lot of them in my feed, my professional feed. And people are putting up snow maps. Now, people are really sick of it, the snow and the silly senses of humor. Putting up, major, and somebody even used the maps from last weekend's blizzard. People are triggered by that, especially Rhode Island and Massachusetts Southeast. I got to remember to bring up something about our utilities. But there were some people who took maps from last week and posted them saying major snowstorm February 29, 30, and 31 because those dates don't exist this year. I don't think it's funny. I really don't. I was at Eversource yesterday up in Windsor, their operations facility there, helping to kick off the 2026 Connecticut or Special Olympics Connecticut Winter Games. And I was hanging with a bunch of friends from Eversource, and they have been working triple time trying to get the electricity back out on Cape Cod and Rhode Island. I mean, we've sent plows to move snow. It was a huge Herculean effort, as there at one point there were like 300,000 people without power in southeastern Massachusetts. Yet people in my business are going to use that as a joke about leap years. I personally don't get it. I don't think it's funny. It was really bad. Now, I have a sense of humor, but I think there are certain times where people push buttons. Hey, social media, how about that? Anyone else have a Facebook freeze? Yeah, RJ, I hope I fixed it. Check in if I did. Good morning. Maybe how this winter has been going. Maybe a snowstorm on April Fool's Day. Alexander, it has happened before. There was a whopper on April Fool's Day. I never can remember the year. I think it was mostly centered. Maybe somebody can help me. But we had an April Fool's storm that was mostly in this area and up toward Worcester. If I'm not mistaken, like stores get 20 plus inches of snow. Does anybody else remember it? I'm pretty sure that was early April back in the late 90s, early 2000s. We did have an April Fool's Day storm, and we've probably had others too. Ryan says, good morning. Good morning, Ryan. UConn men with a nice win. Ryan's our resident UConn sports fan. Maybe you all are, but he is very adamant with his profile picture. And of course, later today, soon, the UConn women close out their regular season at Madison Square Garden against St. John's. And I could talk for hours about that. I love what Gino said the other day. You know, the men lose to Creighton and people lose their minds. Like, he said, leave the state. Go somewhere else and realize how good you have it if you're a basketball fan in Connecticut. And he's right. I mean, other schools too. I mean, Central's having a great season. Quinnipiac women, the Fairfield women. But what the UConn men and women do in basketball is ridiculous. And I think what Gino was saying is we're kind of spoiled by our own success. I mean, the women celebrated Big East championship and we're like, yeah, big deal, win the Natty. It's like, no, it's not that easy. The other programs in the Big East aren't as strong as UConn, but it's weird how it's not fair how our judgment of the team is like, yeah, great, you know, on the Big East. Winning a conference championship is hard in every sport. Okay, so sorry, I digress. Amen to that. I'm not sure what I said, but amen. Good morning. Thank you, Carol. What a beautiful old black lab that is in your profile picture. Carol says good morning, and I say good morning back. Alexander says good morning, and I say good morning back. People have found the feed after it froze. Luann, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Maybe a snowstorm. Alexander's, somebody else said the same thing. Let's hope not. But it has happened. We've had snow on April Fool's Day. Nancy, good morning to you. Everyone's saying good morning. You're the best, says Emma. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know. That person should just move on. Go away. Don't be on my feed. Or be kind. Very minimal flakes this morning near the station. Thank you, Gwen. Appreciate that. I noticed that. Just a little dusting. More snow. Yeah, Lucille, not a lot in the short term. Just a little bit out there right now. But if you watch the entire feedback, I think the one issue I do have is Tuesday afternoon. I think it can snow and create. And that's why we have Gwen asking, is something coming Tuesday night and Wednesday? Yes, I do believe we'll get a burst of some snow, maybe with some sleet, and it could be a couple inches. I won't say the word several, but the front end of these systems can sometimes overachieve, but then it rains and it's gross and the snow is heavy and wet and disgusting. So let's hope we don't get too much. I'd rather just have it flip. And Carol telling me it's 7:00 for that rocket launch. Go up on a hill away from city lights, clear skies, bundle up. It'll be chilly, and you'll be able to see SpaceX fly by. It's really cool. Oh, Deb, you're so sweet. Deb says, Bob, you're the best. Are you riding horses in Greece right there, Deb? Where are you riding horses on the beach? That always fascinates me. My family's text string is blowing up, but I know everybody's safe. I think you're supposed to be 7:07, says David. So 7:10, because it takes a couple minutes for it to go by. But anytime after 7:05, you have your eyes peeled on the southern sky, which hopefully you can figure out which way is south. Okay. Yay, clear skies. Yeah, Carol, I think so. I think nice and clear. It never snows. Todd. Which direction for SpaceX? South, Gwen, south. Look south, south, south. Hey, Aaron. Hey, my friend. I made it. I always miss you during the week. Work never does what I want it to do. So nice to see you. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Aaron is an OG. She is original because I did a Facebook Live before they were cool back in 2017, 2018, and maybe even 2019. Now they're far more hip and high tech, where I can sit here in this little box and talk to you all forever. I thought tonight was the eclipse too, but I just looked it up. And it's Tuesday night into Wednesday, and that's a bummer. Hey, Denzel, what's going on? My man, Denzel Kloss. Calls me my boy. It's always good to see Denzel here on the feed. Great young gentleman. And as I talk to you this summer and fall about, Denzel and I, we're going to stay positive together and keep positive thoughts. And my wife echoes Denzel and says, be positive, right? Nicole, you're right. South sky, south and southeast. No, the eclipse is March 3rd, 2026. So bummer, because it's going to be cloudy and wet here. Grapple is the spelling. RJ, you gave it a good effort. You sounded it out. And it's not only a unique type of precipitation, it's kind of a unique spelling, if you can see these. Southeast. Carol, look at this. Viewers helping viewers. Todd says 5. What's the 5, Todd? Oh, we saw 5 planets. Thank you. I can't keep track of all the conversations. That's fascinating. And if you do ever, since we're talking astronomy for a minute, if you have a telescope, and you've already done this, but if you want to really broaden children's horizons, one, you could look at SpaceX, right? You'd say that's a rocket. That's cool, right? Maybe you want to go into STEM. Get a telescope. They're not expensive. Go on whatever shopping site you go on, even use stuff on eBay or whatever. You get a telescope for an 8-year-old and you show them Saturn in real life, because they probably have a mobile at school that shows the planets. That's not real. That's cardboard. But when you find Saturn in the sky, and there's all sorts of tracking mechanisms too, and you show a young student what it looks like, or Jupiter with the spot, and realize that that's going around the same sun that we're going around, blows them away. I did it, and I wish I spent more time doing it with my kids. The planets and the stars and the constellations are so cool. Hey, Vicky, good morning to you. I looked it up the other day. Don't tell me. Vicky checks in from Fairfield County all the time, and it's not Trumbull. It's Shelton. Maybe I shouldn't give that away. Sorry, but it's probably on your Facebook. So, yes, look at that. Viewers helping viewers and thanking each other and being so kind. Look at that. Lynn says the sun is bright. The sun's out here in West Hartford. Sometimes the forecast just comes into realization right when you're on TV. Denzel says, first thing, I want to wish you happy first week and day of March. Yes, March. It's your birthday month. All right, this Saturday. Happy birthday to Denzel. Big birthday coming up on the 7th? First, second, third, fourth, yeah. March 7. Denzel, happy birthday. Do you want me to sing? Nobody wants me to sing. No. Hey, my crawl space handles a thaw better than if it's slow. Yeah, Catherine, I'm with you on that. Wallingford, a coating of snow. Always good to hear that. I do again. I'll say it over and over until I'm blue in the face. There will be water issues. and there will be ice jam flooding. I'm starting to firmly believe that now. The way things are going to spike in the 2 weeks, I'm worried about the bridges. I'm worried about the rivers, he said. Charlestown, Mass. What a beautiful spot. Yeah, 2 feet of snow. Yep. So we're on the same page, RJ. Thank you. Yes, we had a big one in the early 2000s, April 1st. I had to drive to Hartford Hospital from COL. Hopefully not from Colorado, Gwen. Colchester, I think is where. Yeah, that's the next comment from Colchester. Must have been a tough drive. 1997, we also had one, David. Okay, I was here. I was still doing it. I don't remember it. I think working the morning shift and raising 2 energetic daughters, parts of my memory are fading. I just can't remember every single storm. There's been a lot of them, and they tend to blend in a little bit. Thank you for always keeping us up to date. Vicky, of course. Good morning, KBP. Appreciate you stopping by. We just got back from my morning walk, and what a beautiful morning. Tom, I'm glad, because I got reports that a good friend of mine slipped on some black ice this morning and injured herself, and that's no good. You can't have that. But Tom, I'm glad you had a safe walk. Nothing on the ground in Portland. Yeah, it was kind of selective coatings this morning. Even though it looks like a solid batch of snow going by, oddly, some towns got something, others didn't. Gwen, great question. And Gwen, what is that? That's a comet. Which one? Halley's? Bop? Who is that? That's a cool comet. In your profile picture, see, I can see stuff. Maybe you can see it there too. Gwen, I don't think a school delay on Tuesday. If I'm going to project or predict, I'll say Tuesday afternoon there could be early dismissals. If not that, possibly cancellations of our winter sports playoffs, conference and state, I believe, are kicking into high gear. I don't have any athletes anymore. I don't keep track the way I used to. I don't have any high school kids anymore. So I used to, keep track. Still root for them, but Bob rules no matter what. Thank you, Danzel. I appreciate you. Watch you every morning. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that very much. It's kind of fun to come into this space on Facebook or YouTube, our YouTube channel, and be able to go back and forth one-on-one, maybe have a little fun, a little sense of humor, maybe I don't know. I should just stop it already. Just stop it. All right. So, Denzel, I'm not going to sing. Let's see. Let's see. I skipped. Hold on. Sorry. I need my glasses. Bob Rules, who says, thank you. Aaron asks, will schools be affected? I love how you use the proper use of affected there. A lot of people would say E, but it's A, of course. And as I said, Aaron, I do think there could be some early dismissals. Same question, Aaron, says Gwen. I hear you. Again, I think there could be. Keep on keeping on. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Bria says, hey, Bob, you are great. Well, that's awfully sweet. I totally respect your response earlier to Susan. We all appreciate and respect your wisdom and work. Priya, that's very sweet to say. Again, I hesitate. I probably should have done it. I have bought telescopes for all my kids in my family at Savers. Interesting. They always have them in Manchester. $10 for a telescope? Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yep. Erin's head is blown. Her mind is blown by that. It's true. Danzel says yes. Love your enthusiasm for science and sport. RJ. Wow, RJ's a Cornell grad 1 year after me. I was class of 87 from agriculture and life sciences. RJ, that is cool. I think that's awesome. What did you study in the arts school at Cornell University? That's maybe RJ and I should just get a chat room and we can talk. But sing, my boy. No, Denzel, I'm not going to sing. Happy U Day. Yeah, Denzel, happy U Day Saturday. That's cool. Love watching on NBC 30, says Nancy Sue Murphy. What's your favorite season? Ooh, that's a tough one, Nancy. But I think the answer for most, I can't not say fall. I love spring because it warms up We have a beautiful long spring here. The other day, I kind of went off on a long tangent about how it's not like that in New York or Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, central and western Pennsylvania. They have very short springs. We have a long spring and a pretty long fall usually. This year's was stunted by this invasion of chilly air that happened in November and really never left. I love our seasons. I love them all. Summer, I do get tired of the heat. I get tired of the utility bills, running window units and air conditioning in an old house. I need new windows. I know. I got to get new windows, and that'd be better. And keeping the hot out and the cool in and all that stuff. I know. But I love fall. I think I've made it perfectly clear on TV that I play golf a lot, and I love playing in September, October, and even early November. The humidity's gone. The sky can be so blue. The temperatures are comfortable. The golf courses come back after the summer strain, and they're in perfect shape. It's just awesome. Because summer does strain our nature. So great question, Nancy. I love it. And thank you for watching. I appreciate that. I'm going to the Shephog. I always get that observation in Southbury next Saturday so I can photograph the eagles. Vicky does have a keen eye for photography, and I think it's Shephog. The Shephog observation deck in Southbury. Eagles are everywhere. The population's just amazing. It's beautiful to see. The storm on April 1st in 1997, I had to get to Brigham and Women's Hospital when I lived in Boston. Police had to let me get in. How about that, Gwen? Thank you for that story. Wow, that was a big one. Erin is laughing because her mind is blown. Do you think this will be the last week of real winter weather? Well, Teresa, that's an interesting question, but I'll say after Tuesday midnight into Wednesday, I don't think it's winter weather anymore. I think it's rainy weather later in the week. So there's a little burst of winter on Tuesday. Well, cold weather went Monday, a burst of snow Tuesday afternoon that can flip over to mixed precipitation. And then I think it's a rain situation for Thursday into Friday. I don't think it's the last of winter, though. I think winter will be back by the Ides of March, in between a silly, ridiculous warm-up. So I do not think we're done yet, Teresa, to answer your question. That's a comet taken from Farmington in 2024. I should know the name. I really should. I just got out of work at DPW, Neil says. The roads are all clear in Haddam, and Route 9 is wide open. Beautiful. Neil, I just wonder, I mean, you're a... Oh, Gwen, that's cool. I'll be with you in a second. Neil, did you have to put some treatments down? Just a tiny bit? You didn't have to plow, obviously. But I thought just a little treatment might help. Gwen also went to Cornell. Okay, we're going to sing Kumbaya. We're going to sing the alma mater. Do you guys, RJ and Gwen, do you guys know each other? Gwen was a class of 1990. We were at Cornell together because I graduated in 87. A late, great, sad loss of a great meteorologist from your class in 1990 from the Boston TV market. And a friend of mine, Michelle Michaels, who at Cornell was known as Mishtu Mukherjee. Back in the 90s, if you had a name like Mishtu Mukherjee, the management made you change your name, and that's how she became Michelle Michaels. If there's one person in the world that would have said no to that, it would have been Mish. Sadly, she is gone, and we miss her. But she was in the class of 1990 and one of the few meteorology majors. Also in the class of 1990 is a Boston meteorologist who just left Fox 25, or New England 25. What do they call them? Boston's 25. And that's Kevin Lemanowitz, who was also a Cornell grad. And also, I think Kevin might have been closer to my grade. No, because we didn't overlap. Is Matt Noyes. He was class of 2000, also a Boston meteorologist. You'd be surprised how many of us are out there. Jeff Smith from New York, Lee Goldberg from New York, Dave Price, meteorology, didn't study meteorology, but he's at WNBC. I know I'm forgetting somebody, and I regret forgetting. Oh, well. So Gwen, go Big Red. If you guys follow hockey, maybe I'll see you at a game sometime. That'd be fun. All clear in Haddam. Thank you, Neil, for that report. Human ecology. Oh, very cool. Nutritional science. Go Big Red. Gwen, we're a special group, aren't we? Yes, Neil, we talked about this previously in this feed, which is now going on forever. And SpaceX, the launch is 7:07, so it'd probably be in our sky by 7:09, 7:10. So check it out, southern and southeastern sky. Neil will have his camera perched. He sent me some gorgeous shots from about 10 days ago. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. RJ studied English and sang in one of the a cappella groups. RJ, I give you a round of applause. That's talent. I love it. Back then it was nothing but treble, wasn't it? NBT was one of them. And don't tell me, I can think of the men's group was called the oh my gosh. I can't remember the men's group. Something about I can't remember. That's going to crush me. If you know, Gwen or RJ, you obviously know. Cayuga's Waiters. I knew I'd think of it. I'm not as old and crazy as I thought I was. Sorry, we're getting into a Cornell love fest here. Yeah, Gwen says fall and winter are my favorites. Our summers are too hot after June. Yeah, I hear you, Gwen. Part of me wants to someday, move down to the shoreline and be near the sound where maybe it's a little bit more bearable, but I don't know. You're right. Summers have gotten, they're just, winter's too darn long. Fall's the best. Yeah. I love sweater weather too, Aaron. And winter has, well, you can't say that because since we haven't had much winter lately. So this winter's been too long, but I'm with you. Thanks, Neil, for keeping the road safe. Neil's a hard worker. I love that. Yeah, we put salt down to treat the roads this morning, and that's a great call, Neil. Thank you. Gwen says, no, you probably didn't know those other meteorologists I was talking about. Good morning, Bob. Nice to see you on a Sunday. Thank you, Gail. It's nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Winter's too darn long. Anthony Carpino is checking in, so let me just make sure. He enjoyed my sound effects. Since we're in this space together, I found this little thing. And, so before a snowstorm, I can say, when's the next time it's going to snow? It's going to snow Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday night. Some people might say for that. Others is so tired of winter, she's going to go. All right, that is fun. What's wrong with me? I was in nothing but treble. The Waiters, Bob. Yeah, so I was right. So Gwen, you and RJ know each other? You were both a cappella singers in the same era at college. And there's RJ. Cayuga's Waiters subsequently kicked off campus. Ooh, didn't know. Chris, good morning to you. Nice to see you, sir. There was another male scene group. I'm thinking, says Gwen. Okay. And then Alex. Hey, Alex, fellow Bernese Mountain Dog owner, asked the question, how is Guinness doing? I asked him. Alex, I asked Guinness. I said, Guinness, how's your knee feel? And he looked at me like this. That's what dogs do when you ask him a question. How's the knee feel, kid? Can I have a treat? Can I have a treat? For those of you that are just new viewers, my dog had a CCL surgery, which is an ACL for a dog. The surgery went very well. It was back on, I think, Feb 4. And it is not easy. A dog that has been free to roam our yard since his birth 5 years ago. Well, since we brought him home from the breeder, wants that freedom. And when I put a leash on him, he looks at me and goes, are we going for a walk? And I'm like, well, yeah, around the yard, because you can't walk that much yet. And honestly, he loves his freedom. In fact, on nights like last night, he would lay on our deck, and he's never going to leave. He knows exactly when and where his next meal is coming from. Burners have no interest in chasing squirrels. At least mine don't. Burners have they don't even want to exercise. I'm talking to him about, doing some leg ups and some curls and maybe some squats, but he's not interested. Okay. He's moving well. Doctor gave us a good report after taking the sutures out. But he's a dog that doesn't really want to do anything except lay around. So it's hard to get him to get out and, take a couple laps around the yard, but the yard is covered in snow and the snow can be dangerous because he can slip, and the ice this morning, blah, blah, blah. But Alex, to answer your question, he is doing well. I will never be comfortable now after going through this once. Every time he runs, I'm going to hold my breath. But again, as I mentioned, he doesn't run much, but he does kind of jump up, he doesn't jump on people. He tends to put his snout between their knees. Doesn't have a ton of energy, but at times he'll get excited, and I'm going to be worried that it's just going to blow again. And that's not a slight against the surgery or anything. Once it happens, you're like, oh, is the other one going to go? And they're susceptible to that, I understand. So I don't know. So the answer to the question, he's doing well, but I'm never going to be ultra comfortable with the whole situation. It's just, it's heartbreaking, right? To have a cone on for 2 weeks and now the cone is off. He has no interest in, licking his sutures because they're gone and the wound. So everything's worked out really, really well. He's off meds, which is great, but it's hard to make him exercise. And Vicky says, sweet Guinness, and I appreciate that. He is an amazing dog. For those of you that don't know what a Bernese Mountain Dog is, Google it and go find one. They are beautiful, lovable, dedicated. When they look at you with their eyes go right through you. From puppiness to adult, they just want to be with you. And what else can you ask for a dog? Not much of a watchdog. Got to go to Lisbon. Have a good day, Bob. All right, David, drive safely out there. Yeah, good stuff. We keep Lapa on a leash as we have coyotes to worry about. Yeah, Alex, I thought about that. We have an electric fence, but I'm surrounded by 2 really busy roads, and I've never seen anything but squirrel and rabbit tracks and deer. So deer obviously aren't scared of cars, but coyotes seem to be a little bit more timid. I can hear them out in the farm fields, not that far away, but there's like 3 or 4 different fences they'd have to get through to get from the farm to me. So I do worry about it, but I can't. I got 2 dogs. If I walk them both, I have no time at all to my life. So it's nice that he goes out. We go out with him sometimes. Other times he just does his thing and comes back and lays on. He just loves to lay on our deck. It's in the shade and it's cold and snowy, and he loves to lay in the cold and snow. So for those of you that actually were looking for weather, Carol says, my first lab blew her CCL at age 10. Hard to keep him calm. It has been a challenge, no doubt. Okay, here's your 10-day forecast. And we'll say thank you for all the wonderful comments and for all the viewership. But let's just go through the 10-day one more time. I want to go home. What am I going to do today? It's Sunday. First of all, I'm going to eat. Second of all, I'm going to watch a little bit of Yukon. I'm going to watch a little bit of golf. I'm going to watch NASCAR from COTA, the race course of the Americas in Austin, Texas. That was terrible last night. There was a shooting in Austin. I hate to hear that stuff. I don't know what happens in our world. But I'll be watching NASCAR and rooting for Ryan Preece, who's from Berlin, Connecticut, and Joey Logano from Middletown. I think that's the only 2 Connecticut drivers in the race, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. RJ, thank you. Go Big Red. I have a little guy on a leash, so he's on leash life every time. Hawks can grab him. Yeah, little guys, you got to be careful with that. Eat and have a nap. Yeah, but it's funny, Aaron. Aaron says have a nap. If I nap on Sunday afternoon, I'll have trouble going to sleep Sunday night. And I got to be up early tomorrow morning, so I probably will not nap. I've talked through my nap time. I can't believe it's noon. I got to get out of here. Okay, so there's your 10-day. Just a quick review. The snow showers are over. Skies are turning partly to mostly sunny, 35 or so for a high. Tonight down to 9. That's not a mistake, and it's going to feel like 0 with just a little biting breeze. SpaceX goes by in the south to southeast sky at about 7:09. So check it out. It's really cool to see. What I mean by that is you get this little blurb of light of a rocket going past us. It's kind of cool if you ask me. Tuesday's not. A mix of snow, sleet, and rain develops Tuesday afternoon. I think that can mess up some school plans. And then rain Tuesday night into the day on Wednesday. Might last longer than just the morning on Wednesday. We'll see. Thursday, showers develop. Some rain Thursday night and Friday. We don't want too much rain, but we could get it. We spring forward this weekend. We lose an hour of sleep. We gain the afternoon hour of daylight. We lose the morning hour, which bums me out because I love sunrises on our show. And that's kind of selfish of me. Most people like that afternoon sun. When you try to go to bed at 6 o'clock at night, you don't really love that afternoon and evening sun. I can see in the corner of my eye that Arsenal has scored as we keep our Premiership soccer on our brains. I don't know who they're playing today. I can't quite see. It looks like Everton. That would be a derby. No, Everton's derby is with Liverpool. So that's just a game. The leaders, of course, are Arsenal, the Gunners, taking on Everton. Why am I talking about soccer? All right, folks, have a great day, everybody. And let's do this. Get rid of that, and say thank you for tuning in today. Have a wonderful Sunday. Relax, put your feet up, read the paper. Remember those days sitting and reading the paper? Papers didn't have comment sections. We just read the paper. I miss those days. Oh, I digress. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow. And as I try to finish my stream, it's really simple to do something kind. So I urge everyone to do that today. Find a way to reach out to somebody, someone you haven't spoken to in a while, someone you've lost touch with, or someone that you're in touch with every day, every hour. But going to get a cup of coffee, buy a cup for the person behind you. You can afford the $3.95. Do it. Unless it's, of course, a different brand of coffee, then it might be $5.95. But just do some kind. Make somebody smile today. All right? I'm going to do my best to. Have a great one. Bye.